Very much, Mr. Tom Gross. As you know, Prince Reza Pahlavi has not held any official positions for the past 43 years. So in what way is this significant for the Israeli side?
Well, yes, symbolically, it's very significant because he is the highest ranking Iranian ever to visit the state of Israel in an official capacity. And even though, of course, he's not in government, he still represents one of the leading figures of let's say, the opposition. I know the opposition is divided into many groupings, but he is also in a way representing the previous government of Iran before 1979, which many people forget had quite good relations with Israel. I mean, there were even daily air flights by the Israeli national airline, El Al, between Tehran and Tel Aviv every day before 1979. And as we know, under the Islamic regime, there have been lots of attacks on Israel, including terror attacks on civilians, on Israeli civilians in lots of countries, in Bulgaria, in Argentina, in Thailand. It's really been global, the attacks on Israel. And then even more importantly has been the Holocaust denial, especially in the period of Ahmadinejad, but it still continues. And today, later today, this evening, it's the National Annual Israeli Holocaust Commemoration Day called Yom HaShoah, Day of the Holocaust commemoration in Hebrew. And he will participate in this official ceremony in Jerusalem at Yad Vashem, which is the official Israeli Holocaust Museum and research center, and all of the Israeli leadership will be there. The Prime Minister Netanyahu, the President Herzog, the leaders of the opposition parties in Israel, the Israeli chief rabbis. There will also be Holocaust survivors he will meet. But in addition to that, he won't only just meet official Israel. You may know that the Baha'i faith have their world headquarters in Haifa in Israel, and he will also meet leaders of the Baha'i, who I understand have been discriminated against or persecuted by the regime in Tehran, by the Islamic regime. So although he's not coming as any official, this visit is very symbolic and meaningful, I think, to Israel, to Jews, to the West, and I think to all Iranians who are quite frankly embarrassed by the fact that the regime has dabbled in Holocaust distortion. I think that it's, you know, I have lots of Iranian friends in London where I'm from, and they feel very ashamed of this great nation, the Persian nation, when they dabble in far-right Holocaust denial. So I think it's very significant, yes.
Okay, so you said that there's going to be an official Holocaust memorial where some Israeli dignitaries, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, are going to participate. Do we have to expect a handshake?
Well, we don't know. The official memorial is at 8 p.m. Israel time this evening. I suspect there probably will be a handshake, yes. If not with the Prime Minister Netanyahu, then with the President Herzog. We don't know that's the case, but I suspect there will be a public handshake. I also would imagine there will be a private meeting between them earlier on, or possibly tomorrow. Okay.
So what do you expect to come out of this visit? Specifically, what do we have to expect to come out of this for the Iranian opposition? As you know, Iran has been very much the scene of what some people call a revolution and some call widespread protest, women, life, freedom. So how is it going to affect the protests in Iran?
Well, I think, again, it's symbolic because the Iranian regime has made one of the cornerstones of its foreign policy attacks on Israel, possibly more than any other country. America and Israel are the great Satan and the little Satan, according to the regime. for such a high-profile figure to come to Israel is very significant. And of course, Persians and Jews have an ancient bonding and history. The Iranian Jewish community in Israel still feels very proudly Iranian, even though they're also proudly Israeli. There's a restaurant here in Tel Aviv where I am that I like eating at, a Persian restaurant, and there is the big flag of Iran on the entry of the restaurant, and that's the pre-1979 flag.
Lion and Son.
Yes, exactly, alongside the Israeli flag. And, you know, I met the late Shah's widow in London, the Empress Farah, and I showed her this photo from the restaurant in Tel Aviv. She was very touched, actually, that the previous pre-1979 flag is there. There have also been some small demonstrations in Israel in solidarity with the protesters and the women of Iran, not just by Iranian Israelis, but by others. In fact, one of the former presidents of Israel, Khatami, was born in Iran. And, you know, in Israel, it's the prime minister that's the most important person running the country. The president is a kind of symbolic role in Israel, but nevertheless, it's important. So I think also that, you know, Israel, in spite of its often, let's say, difficult relations with the Palestinians and others, Israel wants peace with all the Middle Eastern countries, and that certainly includes Iran, I mean, as one of the most important countries of the region. So I also think there's a kind of shared feeling from the non-Arab peoples of the Middle East. So most of the countries of the Middle East, I think 22 of them, are Arab states. And then you have Iran and Israel and Turkey as the three main non-Arab states. And there is a certain, you know, shared value or bonding between these three countries. So I'm not sure anything concrete will happen politically because he doesn't have any political position. But as far as symbolism goes, in politics, usually I think that symbolism is not that important. But in this case, I actually think it's very important. Yes.
Okay. And right now that we're talking to each other, you are in Israel, right?
Yes, yes.
Where in Israel?
I'm in Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv. Okay. Can you tell us a bit about the atmosphere there? What's the public's reaction, the media coverage, and any kind of reaction that you might have seen to the prince's trip there?
Well, yes, it was only announced late yesterday evening that the prince would arrive today, and there was immediately very positive reaction. It's leading the Israeli news broadcasts on Israeli television and radio. You know, it's been very hurtful in Israel that Ahmadinejad, I know he's been out of office for a while, but his successors also continue having a kind of Holocaust distortion, cartoon contest, and so on. There is nothing more painful than that in Israel. The Holocaust, although it happened a while ago, is still very much alive. There will be 6 Holocaust survivors, all elderly but all perfectly healthy, lighting the torches at the ceremony this evening. The entire country will basically respect the Holocaust. Restaurants close. There will be no music played for 24 hours. There will be moments of silence. It's not a holiday in the sense that offices are closed. People are still going to work, but it is a very painful wound. I would imagine more than half of the population of Israel have direct relatives that were murdered or tortured or survived the Holocaust. And this is, you know, on the national psyche here. So for him to come today of all days, that is what makes the big impact here in Israel. And I haven't heard anything negative. There is only positive reaction here. And in fact, most Israelis would love to have good relations with Iran and feel very sorry that Iran is not a more free country, that people can't travel, that women especially are not more free there. So we understand that he is not in government, but nevertheless, he's a symbolic leader, let's say, of both the pre-Islamic government of Iran, but in a way of the protesters too. He's a figurehead. Even if he's not ever going to come to power, he nevertheless is kind of a representative figurehead.
Tom Gross, Middle East expert. Thank you very much.
Thank you.